Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Brickspro. Put on and sponsored this year by the Saskatchewan Lego Users Group.
So we're at the Western Development Museum.
That was my best voice.
Yeah, it sounded good. So this time it's a little different. Christian's behind all of the equipment, so he probably won't say much because he's too busy operating. If you saw his setup right now, you would just shake your head and laugh.
Plus, we don't want him to steal my fire.
Yeah. This is the Lego Brickspro. They have all kinds of cool displays and stuff like that. So we're going to go in there. We're going to have a look around.
And we are going to talk with some master builders.
Yes. We're going to see some pretty crazy stuff. We're also going to talk a little bit about Lego and where it came from and how it's developed over the decades and decades it's been around. It's been around for more than 100 years now, I believe. Yeah.
Really?
The owner has been. Lego itself has been close to, but not quite.
So the owner is over 100 years old?
Well, no. Wow. Oh, this is going to be fun. I don't know.
I might get the Marilyn Monroe.
Let's take a look at it.
No, I was just... Warhawk. Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah.
2 to 4 years? That
Yeah.
only took you 3 months.
3 months. All this other stuff is way too sophisticated. This is my style right there. This is my level of a build. This will take me about a week. But boy, would I feel like a hero at the end of that week.
So, this is Jason and Melissa Meyer. They have a display at Brickspro, and it is fantastic. So go ahead and tell us what your display is, and how long did it take for you to make it?
So we built the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and it took us about 3 years from start to finish. So it was a plan, and it was a pretty intense plan, and then building time was probably about a year. We had to order the bricks, we had to do a lot of building. A lot of the planning was to make it modular and get it here, so that's a lot of it. It's a lot of building, rebuilding, figuring out how to actually physically get it to the site. So 3 years start to finish, more to say.
That's fantastic. So how many hours, you said 3 years over time, but how many hours do you figure you've spent on it?
So we probably put a couple hours in each evening, three, 4 times a week, here and there. Then you get tired of it for a while and you take a break.
Just like any hobby. It's like, I don't want to do that right now.
Exactly.
How do you go about even starting to plan a build like this? So this is all from your mind.
Yes.
Where do you start?
Starts with an idea.
Yeah.
We both enjoy this movie. We both enjoy this version of the movie. We built it off the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And it starts with an idea and then a layout. So do you want to maybe start talking about the layout?
My background is architecture, so the first thing I do is put it into AutoCAD, and I actually scale it, sketch it all out. I hand sketch everything to scale, and then we actually take the bricks that we have at home and mock it up, not in the right colors. So we have a pool table at home, and we'll start mocking it up there, figuring out what we need to order. And then I guess that's how it comes into play. I have sketches.
A pool table that rarely gets pool played on it.
Pretty much.
Some pool. Get some pool.
We have a sheet of plywood that goes over top for the Lego building, and then that's how it starts. So it's lots of sketching, lots of hand sketching, hand drawing, and that's my part. And then I translate it to him, and he does all the number stuff. So then he figures out how many bricks, what the cost is, and then he does that side of it.
And we have iterations. The original idea was to have the boat for the river on a train system.
Yeah.
So it could loop under the building and come back around. But when we did the math and the corners of the train tracks, it doesn't fit. You'd have to make it twice as big to be able to make the corners. So then we looked at robots. Do we want to make a robot follow a line? And then we were having trouble with brown lines and a darker brown line, color differentiation for a robot to follow it. So then we finally said we're just going to make the river move,
Yeah.
give a little bit of movement and reflection there, and not have the boat go. So things go through phases and steps.
And then also trying to source minifigures to get it as close to the movie as we could. So just ordering, like, we needed, I think, 24 Oompa Loompas. So trying to get, like, 24 green hair. And I wanted the perfect hair. I couldn't get it. So I was like, okay, this'll do. And trying to get as close to the original as we could.
So here's the next question. How much did it cost?
Oh, I have no clue. No clue. So a lot of this is from our collection. Like, we're set collectors, we're Lego collectors, so we pull from our collection. We order what we can on third-party sites from Lego, from Pick a Brick walls, from Lego stores. So honestly, I couldn't even tell you.
Sorry. Because we're part of the Saskatchewan Lego user group, we've got a network of friends who are very interested in Lego as well. So we borrowed some parts from them.
Okay.
Like the dress for one of the girls. We needed the dress in red. We needed 3 or 4 of them. We're not going to go buy that part and use it once. So if somebody can lend it to us, that works as well.
That's cool.
But it's
like a Lego library.
It's kind of like
yeah.
that.
That's really
and it'll be
cool.
taken apart to rebuild into other things. So it's not like this is this amount of dollars.
So it's not glued together.
No, nothing's glued together. No.
So how many pieces did you have to get new?
I would wager that there's probably 100 to 150,000 pieces in the build, and like the first thing that we acquired was all the brick to make the outside of the building and stuff. So that's, I don't know, 50,000 bricks just to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, like the black windows were a big chunk, and then all the brick, like the dark red brick, the tan brick from the outside. So that we knew we had to get in bulk, and you'd have to order a lot. So it was like direct from Lego. Like we needed these parts.
What was the biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge for me was the motors.
Yeah.
Trying to make an elevator go up and down
Yeah.
in a narrow space and not fall over. Or trying to make Oompa Loompas dance and not get stuck. And then it's
Transport was a big one.
So transport's always a challenge with builds. The other thing is trying to be true to the movie. I like to build off a reference and have it look like what people remember. So trying to have, like the Mike TD scene, have the camera look like the camera from the movie. Having a chocolate bar show up on the screen. All those types of fun details, challenges, right?
So back to the transport thing. There's only so many containers in this world, and they're only certain size. And you have to build everything on the Lego plate, which is a certain size. So you have to source containers to fit in those. And we found the containers. They worked, but then we figured out that you can't actually hold the Lego pieces to put them in the containers. So we had to flip the container upside down, and we're carrying them on their lids. So we put the lid down, put the piece on the lid, and then put the container upside down. So it's a very delicate move.
Yeah.
Like when we're stacking these in our vehicle, it's very delicate. So when we're driving, it's like, oh, like you can't stop or start fast,
Yeah.
or this whole thing's just gonna tumble.
Well, you guys need a bumper sticker. Lego in transport.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Lego on
exactly,
board.
That's
Lego on
exactly
board,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is an unbelievable piece. Let's take a closer look at the piece, maybe. Can you walk us through it, maybe?
So yeah, if you guys want to like just kind of yell out parts to it that you like, parts that are.
Well, we have the Oompa Loompas along the back wall.
Oh, yeah.
And we're making them all move, so they're dumping sugar and cream into the river, just like in the movie. And then the river's doing its little wiggle, and there's Augustus floating in the river, ready to go up the tube. And it looks like our waterfall has not.
Now we can actually hear the motors there.
Yeah. So all underneath, like we had to elevate this entire build for that river because there's little gears underneath the entire river that are running, and our waterfall runs there.
Oh, look at that. That is amazing.
Yeah, so the first thing is, okay, where do we want the motors? How do we want it to move? So it's like we want the river to wiggle, so everything has to come up. So the amount of brick that's underneath this just to elevate it for that one river is pretty insane.
So underneath like the garden and stuff here,
Yeah.
is it solid or do you have like kind of a
pillars? Of brick.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a grid system with pillars of brick to make it solid.
Yeah.
And everything is interlocking plates. So it's all pieces that pop apart so that it's modular and movable.
Okay, so let's go into the first room and
Okay, so
tell me
that's-
about your first room.
That's the Mike TV room,
Yeah.
so that's the white room we call it, and that's where he gets, well, the chocolate bar gets shrunk first, and then eventually he'll jump on it and get
Yeah.
shrunk. And then our second room is where Veruca is wanting the golden egg.
Oh, right. And she falls through the chair.
Yeah, so she'll be the bad egg eventually. And then the third room is the violet blueberry room,
Yeah.
where she eats the bubble gum. So we decided to do vignettes of all the characters, and then the fizzy lifting drinks with Charlie and
his grandpa,
yeah. And then the last one is the Wonka's office
Yeah.
with the everlasting gobstopper. So that's one thing that once again is at scale, but we wanted to stand out.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's something we made big, and
Very cool. That's amazing.
So,
So,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
So one of the other things that we like to build in is something dramatic or something to draw attention, and we like to use the motors and mechanisms in the system. And I didn't want to have a motor running all day for everything because it gets hot in here and whatnot. So I put buttons on the side, and I've got a button that I can push for up, and the elevator will bust through the glass and come up above the building when at the end of the movie when they go flying. So little things like that are
Yeah,
are the
but
things
it
we
looks
built
like
in.
a pipe, not an actual button. That's
Right.
amazing. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
The amount of effort and time that you put into this must be a lot.
It is. It's also a challenge and frustrating.
So is there beyond a master builder?
Oh.
Like legendary builder?
No, we're not in that
nowhere
category.
there. Trust me.
Really?
Yeah, we're nowhere there. We don't consider ourselves that at all. And one thing that we try to do too, like we have a lot of mechanisms in here and we hide it all. So we do the little drawers. So all of our motors and stuff are hidden. This pops out for all the mechanisms in there. We just like it nice and clean.
You need to access things to be able
Yeah.
to change
Yeah.
batteries or whatnot.
Or a motor fails and you have to.
Yeah. This one is really challenging to get at the motors if they fail or don't work. So if something fails throughout the show, it'll just stop running for the rest of the weekend. But
Thor. He's got motors.
But it was a lot of fun. Like the candy floor was definitely a lot of fun to do.
about 12 shows we do throughout the province. So we'll go to Estevan in November. I think we're looking at going to PA in October. A lot of the shows are in Regina, some are in Saskatoon, so we're kind of all over the place. And then because LEGO has user groups throughout all of the world, there's shows like BrickCan in Vancouver or BrickCon in Seattle. So we don't go to those often, but we go every once in a while.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Sean Coley. I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba. This is the Battle of Scariff. This is a collaboration between three builders. Myself, of course, Chris, and Nico, both from Alberta. Nico from Calgary, Chris from Lethbridge. So we're coming all across Canada to put this together in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, of all places.
How do you connect with three guys across Western Canada like that?
So I've met Chris online because he used to do YouTube videos, so I always knew who he was, and then we met at this show in 2018. I wasn't displaying then, I was just working in Regina, so came to the show, met him, and then the next year, the following year, I came and displayed here. Then we met Nico on the internet as well, and we just like wanted to build something really great. Rogue One is one of the new Star Wars movies, and we all really love it. We think it's the best Disney era Star Wars, and then it's just such a dynamic scene. You've got the walkers, you've got all the flying ships, the U-Wings, the X-Wings, and then of course you've got the superimposing tower. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of a driving problem where it exploded. So, Chris did a lot of repairs last night when setting up, and it's still in really great shape now.
So do you guys have one place that you build, or are like parts of it yours?
We've never seen this together.
No.
This is the first iteration.
Really?
Yeah. So we do a lot of build calls, I guess you could call them, where we discuss like, okay, what are the seams going to look like? What kind of styles are we going to do for the tree? So we have all these consistency kind of talks about like, okay, the water's going to look like this. The shoreline is going to be, 2 plates up. And the border, of course, it's we tried to like do the classic imperial kind of windows or lights that you see on their walls. So there's just so many design considerations that we go through for something like this.
I have to say that the water looks like where we are right here. It looks fantastic. It looks like a nice sort of like calm with just a little bit of a ripple, and then where the one walker is, you can see little like splashes around it where it's stepping down. It looks fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah. So our goal with the water was to kind of create something that's, of course, flat but still has depth to it, right? So there's 3 layers to the water. There is a layer of just like opaque. I think it's medium azure is the Lego color for a plate for the base. There's a trans light blue stud. So everywhere you see water, there's a single 1x1 stud everywhere.
Wow.
So, and then on top of that, you've got the tile to make it that smooth look. And while we've spent the past 3 years planning this and making it what it is, we've ordered these same parts over and over again, and there's been like different color iterations. So that even made it cool to have like different shades of water everywhere. So if you really look close, and maybe it's better for far away as well, and having the lights above, you can see different shades of the water. So
that was going to be my next question. So this has been a 3-year project for you.
Yeah. So after Brickspro in 2019, Chris and I, we were like, okay, we want to do something together, and then we were going to do a different planet, but then COVID started, so we canceled all that, and then it was like, okay, we're going to do Scare, and we got Nico on board, and it just spiraled from there.
What amazes me is that you guys were able to collaborate on an intricate piece like this
without actually being in person.
Yeah. Like I haven't seen Chris and since 2019. I've seen Nico a couple times just because I went to Calgary and quickly ran into him. But yeah.
So how do you break that up? How do you plan it? Like, did you have like one person focuses on one piece and
yeah, sure. So I could walk you through like which areas is huge. So Chris, he's the man behind the tower, so obviously his portion starts here. It goes all the way. This guy, he builds everything. He's incredible. Shout out to Chris. His goes about to here. So it's a massive scale. He's got a lot of water, he's got a lot of land, and of course he's got the tower.
Okay, so how about the train that interconnects them all?
The train is a bit of a combo between myself and Chris, but mostly Chris. He came up with the design for the train itself. I and him came up with the housing for it to run through.
Yeah.
The curved part was something we wanted to do because there's a lot of train stuff that goes through Scarif, and it leads to different like landing pads and bunkers. So we wanted to have some kind of representation of that.
It's just amazing to me to see like you said, Chris's end's here and someone else is there, and yet you've got a full train that fits in it with the right dimensions.
And you can't see a seam.
Yeah.
There's no seam.
Continuity is awesome.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Thank you. Yeah, and so even the train, it's like a vintage Lego thing. It's the monorail series, which is quite infamous for being crazy expensive. So we somehow, with our limited young adult incomes, have acquired this stuff. And then we have just been able to create like a really nice layout with the train. And then we've also done some maybe questionable A-full things, which is like 3D printing monorail track. So kind of supplement the custom, maybe just special things we needed. So where it turns into a 45-degree turn there's a custom piece. There's a site called 4D Bricks. They do like 3D printed stuff, and they have these files that you can download and then of course print on your own, which is really awesome. Shout out to them for doing that. And so I combined 2 of their files to make an adapter, so we were able to do a nice curve like that.
That's amazing.
But yeah, back to dividing it up. Yeah. So then my area starts right here, and then goes here. Now I have the smallest portion, but I have a lot of infrastructure from the Imperial base here. So I've got a couple TIE Striker landing platforms, I've got the tram bunker, and then the just regular barracks. I've got a walker, I've got the TIE Reaper dropping off the Death Troopers, and yeah, a bit of jungle as well. And then so from here on to the edge, that's Nico's portion. So he's of course got the like front and center landing pad, which has the giant Zeta shuttle. That's also built by Chris. But he's got
So did Chris do both Zeta shuttles then?
He did, yes.
Okay, because I was going to say they look like identical.
They are two different versions. This one, I think, it has more pieces than the Ultimate Collector's Millennium Falcon Lego set, which I think is like north of 7,000. So yeah, this is an incredible build.
Yeah, you can see the extra detail on the top and stuff.
So now, how many pieces do you think are in the entire thing?
You know, that's a question that gets asked about every Lego build that we do. There's no way to know. There's no way to tell. I'm sorry.
I guess if that's like 7,000 pieces, that's 7,000 pieces, and
for the combined for all three of us, let's say
go with at least 100.
North of 100,000. Yeah.
Were you able to use a lot of your own pieces, or did you have to get a lot of custom pieces made up? Did you have to order a lot of pieces in?
Ordering a lot of pieces, yes. Custom pieces, there's maybe like 4 in the whole
It's the
layout.
monorail
Yeah,
stuff. That's
yeah.
the custom stuff because it's just so like with what they did with the angles, you just can't do it with the normal Lego pieces.
right. So here's the next question: how much money did you spend?
We don't talk about that.
No,
I think
that's a pain point.
It's a pain point, but it's also, you know, it's a labor of love, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
This is something we're extremely passionate about, and you know, we've got like lots of people here that are really enjoying it, and I love to see people like interacting with the build, taking photos, and just asking me about it. So it's a labor of love. It doesn't matter in the end.
It gets so close though.
Oh yeah, 'Cause if someone looks at this walker wrong, it's gonna fall over.
So what was the hardest part for you?
For myself, time. So I'm a recent university graduate, so I did not have a lot of time post-grad and then starting a new job to really do this. And I think that's probably the killer for all of us is time. You know, Lego is important, but life is also important.
You have to eat.
Lego is life. What are you talking about?
You're right, obviously, because we drove from Winnipeg, Calgary, and Lethbridge, so Lego is life. You're right.
And still, you know what? To me, that's almost like the most impressive thing, is that you guys were able to collaborate on a project like this from that far away,
Yeah, it's
spanning with 3-4 provinces, still
something
making
very
it happen.
special.
Oh yeah, that is incredible. Amazing work.
I'd be absolutely proud of that. That's great. Yeah. I have no words. Like, well, I work in a telecom business, and most of our stuff is through Teams or Zoom or whatever. But like, we don't go to any kind
This
of
is
detail.
next level
This is
stuff
next level
right here.
stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, hey, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you guys. I
It was
appreciate
awesome.
it. Yeah,
Absolutely,
great to
you
talk
guys.
to
Best of luck,
Yeah.
eh?
I'd shake your hand, but
Best of luck. Awesome. Thank you very much.
thank you guys. Yeah.
So, Adam,
Hey,
your role, how it evolved, how it developed, and your passion for Lego and making this all happen.
Okay.
Let's take it from the start.
Okay. So the show itself is put on by our group, Saskatchewan Lego Users Group, which started at a garage sale. One of the soon-to-be members was basically selling off the Lego that he wasn't using. He's a big Technic guy for a while. That's all the gears and motors and such.
Right.
So he was selling off minifigures and system sets and Star Wars sets and whatnot. So my friend is like, dude, you gotta get down here. Because there's like bags of foliage, there's bags of tiles, there's bags of all these parts that we use all the time. And in talking to him, it's like, you know what, we've always thought about getting a group together. So that kind of started it. So the three of us started as a group back in 2009. And we started doing little shows. I had done a couple of train shows myself, because Lego has this 9-volt train, so I was way in, and I was this weirdo with a bunch of older hobby guys, which is fine. And so because of that, we were able to get the group in, and then we started displaying at train shows, and then other people saw it and were like, oh, adults do this outside their basement. That's fun. I want to do that too. So we slowly started getting members. So in 2012, because we'd done a couple of train shows here, the museum's like, have you ever thought of doing your own Lego show? And we're like, of course we have. They're like, do you want to do it here? Of course we do. And so the first year there was 12 of us, I think. Same thing, going through the museum just like we always did. And it's just kind of grown since then. Our group itself has grown up to about 50 members now. 50. From all across the province, right? We are a provincial group, so we're not like just regional around this area.
And that's the Saskatchewan Lego user
Yeah.
group.
And so we have members down as far as Estevan. Moose Jaw is our west. What is Melville? No.
Melfort?
Melbourne.
Is Melfort?
Yeah, that's right.
Hold
Melfort's
on.
quite north.
No, hold on. Nope. Indian Head and then Grenfell. Completely different.
Okay.
Jeez. Grenfell up there, and then like PA and just north of PA. So that's like our range, which is pretty vast for something like this. But we try and keep in touch. We see each other when we see each other. We do shows and stuff like that. And so this show has grown in a similar way because we started making friends with other groups outside the province. So we have members from Manitoba here, Alberta, oftentimes BC, and this is our first time having people from Ontario, which is kind of cool. So
it's kind of growing. It's growing exponentially.
it's slowly, but yeah, and to the point where we want to do more, but we only can in the space as much as we can do. So where the future holds and where this goes, we don't even know yet.
Well, I was so amazed. We just spoke to Sean and the Star Wars fellas there.
Yeah.
The fact that they were able to do what they did over a span of 3 provinces and collaborate on a project of that
and 3 years.
over
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. And what I did not know is that we're looking at master builders here, right? This is like this is plans and schematics that they're coming up with on their own.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea.
Well, and that's like my favorite thing about the show is that there aren't any sets here. Like everything that's made is original. Now, if I'm making a house, I need a car, I can just take a lot of cars. It's a little bit different. But yeah, everything on that table is like brand spanking, not a kit. And that's, of course, the biggest question we get is it a kit? Where are the instructions? No. It's all just from the brain. So yeah, something like that and collaborating, which is always one of the better things of the hobby is being able to collaborate because you can make a giant table that I wish I could make in my basement, but I ain't got the money and my wife won't let me. So being able to map it out and do it,
It
that's
was quite
incredible.
funny when we asked them, well, how much did you put on this? We don't talk about that.
Oh yeah, you never speak about the totals.
Labor of love, for sure.
If you ask the Wonka people who did the Wonka
They
too,
said the same
did they? Yeah,
Yeah, they said
it's
the
it's a
Oh,
lot.
we don't know. So
Oh, they know.
What's one of the most memorable pieces that you can remember out of all the years you've been doing this now?
Oh wow. See, a lot of people go to the really big ones, right? Because when you see something big, that's impressive. That's a huge deal. Some of the ones for me have been really small. A couple years ago, a guy made a steampunk ray gun, and it looked like it was from the 1950s. It had all these lovely things on it, like it was the details you can get from the small things. And it's kind of too bad because the small things often get overlooked by these big giant things because they are impressive. It is fun to look at. But then there are these like really tiny things out there. It's like that's really smart. Like even, and from our side of things, like how you use that part, I've never seen it that way before. Oh, that's different. That's interesting. And that's where you can kind of learn some nuances of what's going on.
the one around the corner just before Willy Wonka, I think it was, the Fallout Shelter.
Oh yes.
The ruins on the top were what I was just fascinated with because looking at the intricacies and the small bits and pieces and the detail that person went through to put those together. Yeah, it's not a huge. It's 4 or 5 feet long and it's about 3 feet deep, but it's just the intricacy of those ruins on the top were fantastic.
And in building, that can be the most fun to do. Is just like I'm going to put this little tiny thing over here.
Yeah.
No one's going to see it, but I know it's there.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be a lot of fun to do.
So as far as the event, then the event has obviously experienced a lot of growth. What's next on the agenda after this? What do you do throughout the year, or is it just a lot of building up to this big event through the year? Or
For me personally, August is when I sort, because this is kind of for our group. It's kind of like the year end, really, and so I take the month. Luckily, I'm a teacher, so I have the month to do so. So I'll get my basement. I'll start taking things apart because I need the pieces. I need it to build something else. And in a regular year, we have shows throughout the year. We take part in a couple hobby shows, anime shows. We do host another one of our own shows in Estevan. It's called Brickspro. It's a little bit smaller because it's just a handful of us, and we don't open it to everybody. It's just kind of like we're just going to go and just have our own thing. But then the train show season starts up in February and March and April, May. So we tag along to those too.
That's busy.
It's pretty busy. There are a lot of LEGO users groups in the country, in the world. We seem to be fairly active in terms of going and doing things. Because we'll talk to others and they're like, yeah, we do 4 shows a year. It's like, cool, we did 4 shows last month. Like, we do. But it gives our people the more opportunity to get out, to show their stuff, and to like really connect, because that's the point of the group, is that we get to see each other connect. You built that, that's cool, tell me how. That's the point of the group. That's why we do it.
So if is there a place where people want to find out more, if people want to find out where these shows are happening next, or
Yeah.
is there a place people can go to kind of find that information out? Or?
We have a website, which is complicated, but it has all of our information on it. I can get it written down because it's ridiculous. But yeah, it's got a sort of like, this is our calendar of events. This is when we do stuff. This is who we are. This is how to join if you're an
if I
adult.
search for Saskatchewan Lego Users Group, you'll come up on that as the top. Probably. Okay.
Yeah, Facebook probably first, then maybe the other one. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So I got a couple of things for you here.
Yeah.
These are some research that we did. So this is just us looking at some historical Lego stuff.
Okay.
And I just want you to react. If you already knew it, that's great. If not, I want you to react.
Okay.
So every minute there are 36,000 Lego bricks molded, created.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
All by robots.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
robots.
see those robots.
And-
What's that, Tim?
robots.
But then the robots give it
Robots.
to other robots, and the robots put it away until it's needed. And,
And then
who
they
gets
take
it?
it out.
The robots.
Yes.
It's
all
always
robots.
this always end up coming back to the god darn robots.
That's Tim's fear. He has a phobia of robots.
It's justified.
How many Lego sets are sold every second, do you think?
Every second?
Yeah.
1,200.
About 7
Oh, okay. Well,
every second.
I guess I'm not buying
So
that.
it's yeah, that's wishful thinking.
That is.
Did you know that Lego is the world's #1 tire manufacturer?
I did know that, yes. And I'm sure the tire actual people are very mad.
306 million rubber tires per year.
But wouldn't it that be?
Not Lego
Yeah.
tires.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real tires.
No.
Well, Lego tires, the little tires, but
Mini
they're still a
tires.
tire. It's based on rubber.
Well, there
Good,
you go.
Goodyear is
Jeez.
furious.
Furious.
Just
They're trying to get in on that sponsorship.
They are. How can I make a tiny tire?
Where's another good one here? How many bricks circulate globally? Are there
Circulate?
currently?
Oh, like in production?
Like how many are out there right now in people's
Oh,
hands?
like it's like 4-something billion.
400 billion.
There you go. Yeah.
You're right on.
It's huge.
It's insane.
I think at one time they worked it out that if everyone in the world had Lego, based on how many were out there, everyone would own like 300 bricks or like 1,000 bricks or something
Yeah.
like that.
Wow.
It's bonkers.
Every single person,
Yeah.
and including newborns that are happening every second.
Because they keep making them. So all of a sudden,
Yeah.
kid pops. Don't worry. Psh, there you go.
There's some more Lego.
Here's your thousands.
Where's my Lego handout when my kid was
I know. You should just be able to go to a place and be like, thank you.
Okay. The 42-foot tall replica of London's Tower Bridge, which holds the world's Guinness record for the largest Lego structure. How many pieces are in it? Approximately.
25 million.
You're a little high, but it's
Okay.
a big number. 5.8 million pieces.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, that's insane. We were talking to some of the people out here. When you look at the Willy Wonka one or the Star Wars one that we were just talking about there, and you say, "Well, how many bricks are in there?" And they go, "I don't know, about 100,000." It's just boggles.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy too.
The number you can't comprehend 100,000 Lego bricks.
Yeah, I had a hard time making like your 15-piece car back in the day.
Do you have any Lego knowledge that we want to put out?
No, I'm not so much for the trivia. I know there's a lot, and it's always changing. There's something about a configuration of 6 2x4 Lego bricks that you can configure them in like 941 million different ways, or something ridiculous like that.
Wow.
Maybe that's too high. I don't know. But there's the Lego house in Billet, where Lego started, and you can go there and get your own unique configuration that won't be replicated for decades, obviously, right? So yeah, I've never been, but I hope to, and just be like, that's mine, cool.
Have you always loved Lego?
Yeah, I've got pictures of when I was really, really young. My dad and I liked playing. It used to be Classic Space. That was a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
And I remember my sister and I, we used to make mansions for Burt Reynolds. I don't know why it's Burt Reynolds. We weren't like Burt Reynolds fans,
Seems
but for
really
some
fitting.
reason, it was just Burt Reynolds.
Oh, come on, Cannonball Run? That's had to have
Never
been-
seen it.
Yeah, but your dad probably did.
I don't know. But yeah, for those were like the two things.
Your mom probably had the hots for Burt Reynolds, because
Everybody.
every mom did.
So yeah,
He was the heartthrob.
yeah, he was okay.
So right from the get-go, you just loved it.
It seems to be, and I never had what people call a dark age, where like in the teen years, oftentimes it wanes because other things become more important, like other people, etc. And I never really had that. I kind of kept it going, so it's been a lengthy journey so far.
So you've seen like, because for me too, like I mean, it has become so, the builds are so more sophisticated
Oh, yeah.
and technical.
Well, and the difference in the elements you can get now, right? Like anyone from the 60s, they have the standard 2x4 bricks, they got some slopes, they made a house, they're happy.
Well, I'll show you a picture. I've got set 286 at my house.
Oh, there you go. And yeah, it's like probably the basic, maybe only four colors, five colors.
Doesn't even have the Lego miniatures. It's got the Lego, like,
the big
4-inch
building
ones
ones.
with the round heads.
Yep. And that's the thing. Like now, there's different slopes, there's different curves, there's different angles, there's different all sorts. You can tile everything. Like you could have something that doesn't have a stud on it anywhere, and you wouldn't know it is. And even sets nowadays, like the Speed Champions, those cars that look beautiful, but there's not a stud to be seen because they want it to be a model instead of a playset. So.
Well, Adam, hey, thank you so much for your time
Happy
and
to.
bringing all this together. I'm really blown away by the whole, just the level of builds that we see here.
It's fantastic.
And, thanks for your time. It's awesome.
Thanks for coming. It's great to have you here, man.
Pleasure to meet you.
Not gonna lie. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for being.
Wow, that was an amazing weekend we just had at, back in July. I know it's been a while. We just had so much fun putting that together with Tim and all the people from Slug.
Absolutely. Just kudos and shout outs back to Adam Dodge from Saskatchewan Lego Users Group, Melissa and Jason Meyer for their fantastic
Creation of the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
That's it.
And
Sean, Chris, and Nico for the Battle of Scariff.
Tim, get back in the corner. You were bad. You are not allowed to come out and talk to the people because we had to put you there.
Temper tantrum.
But that's why Tim's in the corner.
Yes.
But yeah, John and Melissa for taking the time to interview with us.
Jason and
Melissa. Sean, Chris, and Nico for taking the time and all the time and effort they put into their creations.
And everyone else who had their
creations that were there. There was
and displays.
Thousands of displays by different people throughout the province. And they all came here in Moose Jaw, which is great, right here in our hometown. This is their big kind of year-end wrap-up, so we're looking forward to seeing them again. They've got a bunch of coming events.
Saskatoon at the Western Development Museum in February.
And then March, they'll be returning back to Moose Jaw for the train show. It's kind of a smaller version, but they do show up there with a bunch of displays and some of the Lego trains and stuff.
April, they'll be at Everett's Place in Regina.
And then, of course, back here in Moose Jaw again in July, returning with the full Brickspro event that they do annually here at the Western Development Museum. So it's always exciting for me and the boy to go. And
I absolutely recommend that anybody, whatever your age, go and just walk through. It is fantastic to see the absolute ingenuity, artistic creativity, and it's just fascinating to see.
And even just taking in, like, with these being at the Western Development Museums, just taking in what is some of our cultural history as well as it's part of your entrance fee.
So take the kids, they can see the Lego, you can see the exhibits.
Yeah, see the old bobsleds that, from the turn of the century that people used to drive around the prairies. And
all the very old planes. And look, Christian, you were saying that you actually worked on one of those.
I did. I worked on one of the planes that's actually in the exhibition here in Moose Jaw when I was just a young, like 14 or 15-year-old. I came in on weekends with a bunch of the old guys and helped them strip the paint off the plane and helped them, take a bunch of the nuts and bolts as they were reconstructing one of the planes, which is a very fond memory I had of this place as a kid, and I hope to recreate those with my own kid and, just bringing him out here to see all the creations and stuff that these expos have to offer.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We used the word boggle so many times, but that's, you look at it and you ask them, how many parts is this, and they'll say, oh, I don't know, 100,000, 200,000.
Yeah.
And if we think about it, that entire building held millions
Of
Lego
pieces.
bricks.
Yeah, no, it was just the amount of creativity, because every single one of those is a creation, not a
kit.
not a kit that they've bought and constructed. It is a creation that they have come up with in their own mind.
It's a one of.
Yeah, it's just it's unbelievable the
Well, and I believe Melissa from Melissa and Jason said she uses her background in architecture and CAD to help design their builds.
Yeah. and that's how serious some of these are. Like, it's just, it really is. It's amazing. It's wonderful. I hope you guys really enjoyed our tour through the exhibits that we saw. And, as always, our goofy antics of Tim just being flabbergasted every chance. Tim, quiet. Get back in the corner.
The robots.
Yeah, the robots. Yeah, Tim always being scared of the robots.
Yeah. No, it was fantastic. We really look forward to going back again this next year.
Yep.
To see it again and again and again as it comes back. So everybody, definitely check out the Saskatchewan Lego Users Group, or if you're listening elsewhere in the world, check out your local area for a Lego Users Group.
Yeah.
I guess they're quite prolific across the country and the world.
And they are called lugs, L-U-Gs. So like ours being Saskatchewan is slug. But there are different lugs throughout the world. So join and find new friends and
maybe it's
let your nerd shine out.
Yeah, there's nothing like sitting in front of the TV with a box of Lego and just putting together random things and like Adam said, like, oh, that's how you do that, and just do something really neat that you can show off later.
Well, nowadays you can go to YouTube and search how to build certain things.
Absolutely.
So I mean, the resources you have to get creative are even more than we had as kids with,
Well, when we were kids, like Adam said, you had your 2 by 6 bricks or whatever it was, or 2 by 4 bricks,
and one angle, one corner, and that was about it. Now you've got a million different types of corners and colors and
flats and shinks, so it'll be like
tiles,
no studs whatsoever.
Showing, yeah, that was pretty amazing to see some of the stuff that had no studs showing. Like, it was all flat, smooth surfaces. The water on that Scarif.
Battle of Scarif.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
walking up to it, it was like, I thought at first it was like resin that they'd poured into there. No, it was, as he said, each one of those spots had a little one by one
clear acrylic tile.
That's how it gave it that shimmer.
Yeah.
Just the water alone probably had 100,000 pieces in it.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. But like I say, we look forward to all of you joining us. We are back in production here soon, and we'll have more shows coming out soon.
Yeah,
this was
a little hiatus for summer so Christian could spend time with his kid.
yeah.
Tim, he was taking care of his boys, and I was
new job.
I got a new job, and I was just taking time off. It was nice to not have the pressures of everything going on. So, but we'll be back, nose to the grindstone, and you'll start hearing new releases coming out soon.